Welcome to Timelines, episode 244, recorded today, Good Friday, March 25th. And also, this will be episode 5 of the weekly scam with Mike Sheehan. And Mike is coming out of Stowe, Ohio, and I'm coming out of Reno, Nevada. So with that, we'll get going. We're on Blab. I tuned down my sound a little bit.
No, the sound sounds good. And welcome everybody to the Easter edition of the weekly scam.
So let's get right into it. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about 3 things: U.S. Post Office, how typing can make you vulnerable to scammers. How you type
hackers,
and type them.
Or hackers,
hackers, scammers, hackers are the same. Hacker is a scammer, as far as I'm concerned. And then finally, in the second half, after the break, we're going to talk about a little bit of politics. We do a political show, and I'm talking about my personal relationship with John Kasich. And also Mike, that's his governor. So we'll get 2 perspectives. And with that, let's get right into it. So the U.S. Post Office. Let me start with the U.S. Post Office story. Last week, my sister sent me a package. 2 weeks ago, my sister sent me a package. She didn't tell me. And I got this little piece of yellow slip or purple slip, orange slip, whatever it was, in my mailbox, but nothing filled out with a number on it. So I called, and they didn't know anything about the number. And I luckily kept that little slip of paper. And then I found out during the weekend that my sister had sent me a package, and apparently it came by this house on Thursday. And the process, even though she had insurance, they were supposed to drop it on the porch. But what they did is they ended up eventually, after I called the post office 5 times trying to track it down, and went online, and I got the number from my sister. Actually, she had her receipt. So I got a number from my sister, and we actually tracked it down. And the post office made a lot of mistakes. It was a new post. It was a temporary postman. It came by. And he couldn't put it in the mailbox, so he didn't deliver it. And he just didn't know the procedures. He's supposed to actually drop it on the porch. And I was actually home because I work out of my house quite a bit. So when we're talking about scams, it's not a scam. It's just the post office. It's not the best. I think UPS and the private sources are better. But there's more to the story. I was going to do this during 2 parts because we didn't know what the outcome was last week. So I talked to my regular postman. Everyone loves their postman in general, which we do too. Really nice guy. And I showed him the paperwork, and I showed him what I'd done online. Everything was messed up. So basically what we think happened is whoever the temporary driver was, they just coded it wrong, just hit the wrong codes, wrong buttons. Anyway, it ended up going back to my sister in Southern California. She got it. And she did have one mistake on it, but we peeled it back, and she had the last letter of the zip code wrong, but that shouldn't have stopped it. So we changed it from 8 to a 9. And the postman here talked to his boss in Reno, and they said, yeah, it was a mess up here. Just bring it back to the post office and tell them they messed up here. And the post office, they brought it back, and the post office wanted charge, but then they said, well, look, it's just one number because they brought the actual box back. Plus, I have a picture of the box. The box was like halfway blown open when they were done. It was one of those ones you buy, not buy, but the overnight shipping square box that we use.
The ones that they provide.
They provide, right. So all done and all said and done, we got the box finally. So the post office tried, but that's what you get from the post office. And I think that's a lot of civil servants. They're really nice people, and they're good people, and they work hard. Some of them, they work consistently, and it can be not a tough job, but a boring job. And they're not entrepreneurs. It's just a lifestyle. And some things with the government system, that's what happens sometimes.
They're taskmasters. They're given a task, and some of them have to do that same task over and over again. And I wonder about that. I go into our post office, and I can see the back, kind of the back room there. And you see all the boxes, and you're going, you know what? Tomorrow, those boxes are going to be full and emptied. The next day, they're going to be full and emptied. I mean, I always think of Newman on Seinfeld, if you remember that one, where he just goes, it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and it never stops. You know?
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Any job, you can get a job like that, and you just have to have the right attitude and enjoy life and make the most of the moment. We talk about that. That's one of the common things in timelines. Is a lot of people say, always make the most of your moment and what you're doing. Do it the best you can and enjoy life the best you can. But
right. I mean, you chose that, and you're going to know that, hey, when you come into work every day, your mail bag is going to be full.
The difference is you can turn it on and turn it off when you come to work. If you're an entrepreneur or running a business, sometimes you can't turn it off.
Now, I got a good story for you. Well, one I'm going through right now, and I think it's going to have a happy ending, and this has to do with my taxes. I'm in Ohio, but my accountant, he gave me the address, which I have to mail it to, which was Fresno, California. So I send it and I track it, and it was supposed to be delivered yesterday. And so I go on just to see, and I get, it was usually kind of green, and it gives you the little arrow. It's telling you, it left Ohio, right, and it went here and it went there. Well, now it was orange, and it said, well, we were not able to, deliver it. It's here in Fresno, but we have to give you a new expectant delivery date, which was today. Now, the mail does have a ability to set you up as a text. So let me just see here. Let me see if so I can text it, track shipment. Let me just see if I get a surprise, because it is 3 hours difference. But no, it just says, yes, the tracking number in transit delayed. So you can see I don't know if you can see the orange there, but yeah, so it's sitting in Fresno, which it's going to Fresno, but I can see where it went is a different zip code than the part of Fresno where I needed to go to. So it is making me a bit nervous, because this is my federal tax return. And, I've never made copies of it. I've never had an issue. It's not a matter they're telling me it's lost.
Well, we electronically file all our taxes.
Yeah, my accountant has asked about that. He's not in favor of that. So
really,
yeah, he said there's, he likes to have a paper trail, which,
well, you still get a PDF.
Yeah.
So yeah. See, how old is he? Is he older?
Yeah, he's been my accountant for 30 years. So yeah.
We had a design build construction in the 90s, and one time somebody got a hold of one of our checks. We did everything was by check then. And they copied the check and they made false checks, and they got the numbers off of them. Nowadays, you're much safer actually using EFTs online with all your transactions.
Probably. I mean, that's how in the insurance world, I mean, we not only take applications online, but everything is EFT. You're taking the routing number and their account number and putting that in there, and off we go. So let me just give you one other kind of a neat mail story. Kind of goes along the lines of yours, but this was a lot longer. So we're going May of 2015. All right. My mom wanted me to send some pictures. So I send them in a actual picture box that I got from Walgreens. And it was about a 5x7 box. She never got it. And these were originals. These were like when my dad was a teenager or something. So we really felt bad that they were lost. She called me. It was about a month ago. She says, guess what just came in the mail? We got the picture. So almost a year.
Wow. Let's have made it.
Now, what was interesting, she said it was in a torn up, like what you had, torn up box, tape all around it. So somebody obviously got it and prepped it. But I said, now I mailed this in May. The postmark on it was July of 2015. So somehow between May and July, it got postmarked, and it was sitting, and it was only going from here to Ohio to Chicago. So, I mean, it wasn't across country or whatever, but she was so surprised that, that was, it's about a month ago. So February. So from May to February, we finally got it. So we said, hey, good for the post office. I could have probably walked back and forth and got it to her, but we were really happy because they were kind of one of a kind pictures. So.
One last story. In Afghanistan, we would see the young soldier learned how to use Amazon. We have more junk show up from Amazon in Afghanistan than you can possibly imagine. They're sending themselves care packages, basically. So once the soldier learned how to do that, and we bought it out the little computers. When you get in from the front, you had to get computer rooms. They always order stuff and would come out to Afghanistan. Well, we also had some post office stuff come out. And one box I can tell you about that never made it. It made it halfway there because the mother was irate. And she had sent her 19-year-old son just jam-packed those little hard nuts. What were those little? They're little
pistachios?
Corn. No, they're corn popped, but they're hard. They're corn nuts. Corn nuts.
Okay. Yeah.
It's packed with corn nuts. I mean, you love corn nuts. And he ran out of corn nuts, and she packed it. Apparently, the box was packed too tight, and it made it halfway there, and they sent it back to Afghanistan. Someone turned it around and sent it back. So the soldier never got his corn nuts. I thought that was really, really weak. I mean, everyone was like, really. I think the post office got some pretty bad PR off of that one. She went on her local TV station with a box. It was on YouTube. It's everywhere.
No,
So
they do get beat up, but you know what? I mean, you just try to peel back and imagine just the amount of stuff that they got to go through. I mean, and I live in a in a subdivision here. You know, the male guy here drives. I remember growing up, the guy was walking. You know, he was walking.
oh yeah. You take a little cart and you push it.
You went from one house to the other. I mean, here everything's on the street. You know, you got to walk to the street, but our mailbox was on the house. You know, so the mailman had to come up to the house, put it in there.
Yep, I remember when they used to do that.
He'd stop and chat and all that. But I mean, just think of the rural areas, the mountain areas. I mean, they all get their mail. So I give them kudos. It's a tremendous undertaking. And
I live at 5,000 feet. My friend lives at 54, and we had a big snowstorm this year. And I told the reason why this came up because I was talking about my package. My friend is actually a regional manager for UPS, and he's one of the few guys that doesn't like his postman. Is one day they wouldn't deliver some mail because there was snow in front of the postal container. They have like containers for a block. They wouldn't deliver it. And the guy just jammed on his postman. He said, look, I got UPS guys. They climb out, they go through snow, they go to the front porch. They make it. He like laid it out.
Right.
No, I don't think you should lay it out.
That would be, you know, you think they would be used to that. You know, it's not like it was somewhere where you never did get snow and they got an unexpected snowstorm and the guy didn't, you know, go to the mailbox. But I would think that they're used to that.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of the post office. The post office is not a scam. They're just a government agency. And that's why I like that philosophy. Government should only do those things we cannot best do ourselves. But you need a little bit of regulation, but let the private sector do most of it. But that's not public-private. That's actually pure private, like UPS, things of that nature. Hey, with that, let's go on to the next one. I'll keep it short. We ran a little long there. We'll go to a break. And it's this is yours. How can a typo affect you and create a scam?
Yeah, it was interesting. This was kind of an old, but oldie but a goodie, and it says, you know, how a typo can make you vulnerable to hackers. And what this was known or is known is called typo squatting. So typo squatting. And what happens is that unbeknownst to you, you may be typing in a URL and you leave a letter or a dot or something off. And when you think you clicked it on, you think you're going to Netflix, it takes you somewhere else where now the hacker is able to gain access to your computer. So what they're doing is they're setting up these URLs on purpose that have these misspellings in there that are very, that a person could very easily do.
Right.
So the example here was it was Netflix.om. So the person just forgot the C, instead of .com, it was .om. So that was a URL that was attached to a hacker site, and they were able to access that computer. So the point being here is you need to be very careful when you're actually typing in the URL, which at least I know for myself, I try to always kind of copy and paste the URL that I'm putting in there. For that reason alone, that I don't get off on a rabbit trail with the wrong URL that could potentially be from a company or from a hacker who now steals my information.
Yeah, I just typed in netflix.co and it actually took me to netflix.com, which is good. And also, always look, here's a little trick, always look for HTTPS.
Yes.
That's
you may want to explain, what the S means to our
secure socket. It doesn't mean it's 100% secure. It just means it's a little bit less likely to be a phisher or a scammer. It could still
just the last thing with that is anytime you receive an email claiming it's from your bank or any other company asking for personal information, do not click on the links. Do not click on the links.
Right.
Do not click on the links. It's a scam, and it can take you down. It could take you places you just don't want your computer to go.
Only when you've requested a password change or you're instigating the activity. Hey, with that, let's go to break, Mike.
All right.
Okay, we are back and we are recording. The little red light is on. I always check that.
It is.
Mike used to be my tail gunner, I guess, or always wingman checking to make sure that was on. We had the big Meet the Voters on Sunday night. You know what? That's interesting. Meet the Voters, as we go into something talking about politics, Meet the Voters once had 600 people live come through and watch it, and it had almost 3,000 rewatches. We've had a couple over 1,200, but now it's died out a little bit. I think there's some more competition out there or something. What do you think?
It's a mystery. We've talked about where this is going as far as Blab. I mean, we're trying to kind of maximize it, monetize it. Share some content. I was listening to a gentleman on a Periscope. I know Periscope he has leveled off where people were just going crazy on it, but now it's coming back to content. Right. So I think if you have some good information and you're sharing it, people can benefit from it. It's a good venue, but you got to be careful. You got to be careful as far as the time you spend. If it's not benefiting you and how you want it to benefit you, it's not always about making money. There might be other, objectives that you're looking for.
If Blab could improve the ability to me to get great sound on a podcast, this could be like a podcast optimal platform. One thing is, last week I was doing a podcast and someone didn't have the ability to come up and do a video with it streaming. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, I'm so used to, for a year now, doing podcasts with seeing the person. I like it. So we deviated a little bit. I just want to talk, since we talk about politics, start talking about our show, Meet the Voter, on Sunday night at 6 p.m. Pacific. You're welcome to come over, Meet the Voter, meetthevoter.com.
Why don't you put the link in there? Because people see the link when they see the repeats, don't they?
We will put the link in. I'll put them in at the end. I always do that next shows.
All right.
So we have the Saturday show, which is a great show, which is WP Tonic, all about WordPress. And then we do Meet the Voter on Sunday night. It's kind of a nice lineup, though you shouldn't have it on the same RSS feed like I do. We've got different ones, but that's complicated. Hey, let's talk about John Kasich. I want to talk about this story, but I want to talk for a while. 1996, those know my story. I was in the military 9 years, got out, very successful design, build, construction, was approached by the Republican Party and written up in Time magazine as, at 38 years old or 37, as one of the most promising Republicans in the state of California. And there was a safe Republican seat with a congressman named Gary Condit there. And the Republican establishment came to me and said, would you run? We're going to back you. And I actually wanted to run someday, but I had no intention of running at 38 years old for office. Anyway, I ran. People talked to me. And then after I already committed, and my words to run, and they actually backed me. I got some monies. The former state chairman, we got to know the former state chairman who lived in the same city, which was Modesto. And he came to me and told me what the gig was. He said, you really should run, Bill. You got a great business. You just won the Manor Award. You're building the subdivisions. And I know how hard you're going to work. And he said, do not run yet. And this is after I'd already committed.
Okay.
And he said, do not trust the National Party. Do not trust the establishment out of Washington. Well, I won the nomination. I got some money right away. I was committed for another $100,000 for the campaign. They said would come in to our campaign to run it. I actually had a campaign consultant, which I don't think I needed in retrospect when I look at it, the one I had. I think you need a manager, but maybe not a consultant. It's hard to explain. I was pretty fresh and I worked really hard. Shook a lot of hands. I did all the traditional stuff. They took me back to DC for 4 days, which I really enjoyed, and got to be taught by about 40 congressmen, and all the top consultants at the time came by and talked to us. We stayed at Georgetown. Really, really enjoyed that. But towards the end, John Kasich I ran into. And while I was there, they were working hard to get Gary Condit to vote for the budget. Now, he was a blue dog. And they already given me all the negatives about Gary Condit. He was somewhat fiscally conservative, but socially very liberal. And he also had some other problems, which we had the information to that I would not bring up, but other people apparently may have been bringing up later on. And it was on his affairs and all the things. I actually got calls from people when he was in the state Senate. He'd been in the state Senate who girlfriends he'd had affairs with. So we knew it, the paper knew it, that he had some shortfalls in his personal behavior. Now, there's more to the story, though. But anyway, here's the bottom line about John Kasich. Later, Gary Condit did not make it. I was activated for the war, and I couldn't run against him again. But Gary Condit was basically thrown out of office because of Chandra Levy, an intern that he's had an affair with, came up missing and dead. And then all his other girlfriends came on the media, and he got national media. The local paper stopped protecting him, and everyone in the community stopped being his friend. So he didn't win office. He didn't win election, but I did lose to him. So I lost to this guy who had been 18 years old, had been a city councilman in a little town called Ceres, had evolved up through supervisor, through state assembly. And then Tony Coelho, who was the whip at the time, got in trouble and had to leave office, on the Democrat side. And then the seat had been gerrymandered into a Republican seat too, which is real interesting. They'd played games in California. So I had a good chance to win this. But the bottom line is John Kasich cut a deal. And when Gary Condit signed the budget, they came to me and said they wanted some money back. I said, I'm not going to give money back out of my campaign. They said, well, you're not going to be targeted anymore because Gary Condit signed the budget. So that was my first experience with the establishment. Well, the local Republicans in my little group really helped out, really worked hard. I worked as hard as I could. I didn't win the campaign, but I had a run in with Kasich. When I was back in D.C. the last day, in the hallway, I was talking to him. He started yelling at me because I wouldn't pull back my campaign. So, and then he said, I'm going to do a fundraiser for Gary Condit. I said, what? You're a Republican going to fundraise for a Democrat after you guys got me into the race? I'm 38 years old. I've got a successful design build construction company. I'm virtually taking a year out of my life to run. You're going to do what? He's yelling at me. He's literally yelling at me. I saw his temper to the nth degree. He has a terrible temper. And I think it's a fake. I think he's the biggest. I've been watching him ever since. I think he's the biggest fake that ever came across the political front of. In fact, I think he is the Republican establishment. That said, the Republican establishment is pretty dire straits right now, I'd say. But anyway, that's my run-in with the Republican establishment. I think, here's another thing. Those who know my story, I was activated for 9/11. I actually went back in for 5 years back in the military and finished up my active duty because I had so much time, because I was activated so many times. But when I was away, let's see, I lost my train. Hold a second. I'm going to pause. Okay. I've always been, let me pause a second. Okay. When I went overseas, I was deployed several times and then finally went back and finished my active duty. Well, my last deployment, I was gone for about 5 years. I lived at Leavenworth and I was overseas on deployments a few times. And my wife stayed in California and ran our small business. And when I came back, and she visited a few times at Leavenworth, but I spent most of my time overseas. When I came back, and I focused so much on 5 years on the special project I was on in the military, that I really didn't pay attention to what was going on the outside. For those who know it, I had something a little bit to do with Benghazi, and I had another incident where Bergdahl, I was there at the brief for Bergdahl, so I know Bergdahl was a traitor. But I know a lot of different things were happening. But that's a side note. When I came back, my wife actually left the Republican Party. And the reason why she left the Republican Party is because we had voted in Republicans and they hadn't done anything that they'd promised. And I said, that can't be. That can't be. And I started watching. And she said, yeah, stuff is up. It's terrible. And we've both been lifelong Republicans. And she left the party and became an independent. But I've stayed in the party. But I am very, very disappointed. And that said, I think the reason why we have Trump right now is because of both Republicans and Democrats of the middle, who are the establishment, running the country from 1994 until just recently. Mm-hmm. I think we've had terrible leadership over the last 20 years in government. I think they've been hooked up into corporations, crony capitalism, and we're getting what we deserve.
Well, too, and let's just kind of tie a bow onto this because we like to keep it to 30 minutes and we can continue talking. But my thing is you have people that are trying to run the government like a business, but they have no accountability. You couldn't run a business like they run it, but they're treating it as that with the voter really getting screwed in the end. I have this conversation a lot with my wife, who's in the healthcare, and all this stuff's going on about healthcare. And at the end of the day, it's the patient who's getting screwed over, right. Because it's all about the money, Follow the Benjamins. I like to say, follow the Benjamins.
Let me go back to John Kasich. John Kasich, they made a poster. I even have the poster still. And he was going to come out and do a breakfast fundraiser for Gary Condit, Congressman Conrad, Democrat. I'm a Republican running. After saying that you're targeted, you have a chance to win this and all this positive. And our local Republicans embarrassed him so bad. And they put out more press releases. My campaign stayed pretty low level, but they hit him everywhere. And he ended up, Gary Condit said, well, I'm going to cancel the event. So he never did come out and do the fundraiser. But I'm just saying, Kasich, to me, when I see him, I've seen his temper. He's certainly not sweet like he comes across. And he's can be very argumentative too, and very tough.
So, Bill, why don't you share what we're going to be talking about next week?
Okay, thank you. That's all the happy stories. So next week we're going to look at the Apple mouse, if it's a scam or not, what's going on with Apple. And I love Apple products, by the way. We're going to look at Craigslist and vacation packages and apartments and rentals. Mm-hmm. And did you have anything you want to throw in for next week?
No, I was going to kind of add into the Craigslist aspect of it on people that are looking for apartments. So. I kind of saw that one too. So I had something I'm going to want to add to that people want to be aware of when they're going on Craigslist.
We'll talk a lot about Craigslist, and that sounds like a wrap. So we'll stay on for a few minutes if anybody wants to come up and talk after the podcast.
All righty, folks. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Dr. Wayne, if you want to come up and tell us about your show, it's on at 6:00.
All right.
I might even check into it.
Is that 6? I don't know. Is that 6 Eastern?
He does three shows, he says.
Man.
Or three. Well, I do 7. There he goes. Thanks for coming up.
Shh. Did you click it?
Yeah. Love to find out about people.
Yeah.
Dorban. It's Dorban. Hey,
there
good.
He is.
Looking good.
So are one of you in Colorado? I heard you talking about 5,000 feet. No, I didn't think Reno had 5,000 feet.
I'm Reno, Nevada.
Okay, Reno.
The city's at 43, 44. I'm above the city up the Truckee River, up the side of the mountain. And yeah, I'm at almost 5,000.
And I'm Ohio. I'm right near Kent State University.
Yeah. Well, I actually heard Stowe, and one of my businesses in a real estate acquisition, and we're buying a commercial asset in Stowe right now.
Oh, really? In Ohio? What do you do?
What's the address? Or can you? We just lost your sound.
Really?
No, we got it.
Oh, no, you're back. Okay, I saw your lips moving, but okay.
That's blab. That's a blabism.
And I actually have my other computer set up with my mic and everything because I'm going to do it. So I'm on my Mac that I've got sitting next to me because I look over it. I do a lot of screen sharing on my live cast. Actually, interestingly, I can't yet tell you the specifics.
Well, I was going to say you might not be able to tell me. So yeah.
We own the Goodyear facility in Akron, and then I think we have 40 assets in Ohio. But you ask what I do. I frankly, semi-retired. I live on a ranch out here in Colorado because I want to, and it's nice here. And I'm doing a blab here in just a minute called the Alpaca Summit. So we have about 7,000 people that are opted in for a membership site. There'll be about 600 that'll view this on Webinar Jam, Periscope. We'll have people calling in over Uber Conference. And then we've started using Blab just this year. So this is the second year for this summit. Tonight I'm interviewing a fella from the East Coast who's one of the top breeders back on the East Coast. He's a physician also. Neil Padgett's his name. And we'll have a couple people that'll want to come on and take seats after he gives a presentation. And we do the same as you. We repurpose this. Most of our viewers are on replays. And we turn it into audio. So we use Smart Member, Chris Records' new platform. We've been Kajabi users forever, and we've switched over to this Smart Member because we can put a live cast on, so we can embed the video so people will be watching there. And then we can upload it to YouTube immediately. It does it automatically.
Wow.
It'll go there as the replay. So it minimizes the amount of editing that we've got to do.
So you use Smart Member instead of you're doing a Blab and a Smart Member at the same time?
Well, Smart Member is a platform like Kajabi where it's a membership site. So I'll embed the Blab feed into the Smart Member site. So we get a lot of people who are lurkers. You probably noticed, and you won't have any right now, but this is every day, as you know, there's new features. That if there was a plus up here by the pictures of all four of us, that means that people are viewing Blab without their lurking. Right.
They're not logged in.
Let me tell you something about that. Now, again, it always changes, but I don't think you can do that anymore because frankly, there was a couple that I would go on to watch, and when I would go on Google and just type in Blab, it made me sign in, whereas before I couldn't open it. So I think they may have changed that. I think you have to be signed in now to watch a Blab.
Well, actually, I think you're right if you're watching it on the Blab platform. But remember, you can embed this anywhere. So I embedded that. Those people are counted as views.
Yep.
And I think because I did one earlier today, and I had noticed that plus sign kept going up and down.
It did. Okay.
It seems like something was happening there.
I have 20 websites, and one of them's a couple nonprofits where I have extra bandwidth. I've got 3 servers, and I help them out. I embed this, so it's going to pop up. If you're on that website, this sound will start popping up. You start hearing it down a little widget.
Right.
No, Wayne, I got an alpaca story. We're in Stowe, and the town that would be south of us is Talmadge. And if you take the kind of the highway or the main road, there's an alpaca farm that's like in the middle of a neighborhood. So I think the alpaca farm was there long before the neighborhood. But yeah, every time when the kids were little, they always wanted us to slow down because they wanted to see the alpacas. I mean, and they're right up against the road, this fence. So
we know a very successful real estate broker. We have a brokerage in California and Nevada, a very successful real estate broker who's made pretty good money on alpacas. I don't know why. He's got a lot of alpacas.
So do you know that does the name in Ohio, Jerry Forsner, mean anything to you?
No.
He was the founder of Jiffy Lube. So he lives over in Medina. And he had the largest herd of alpacas in the United States until last year. He and his wife decided to retire to Florida. And so his sons had been running it and they sold out. But anyway, Jerry's over in Medina in the summer and then he goes down to Florida now in the winter.
Yeah, I didn't know that because we used to live on that side. That's about 45 minutes west. And I was not aware that there was that big of an alpaca farm there in Medina.
When I was in Afghanistan, they sent me alpaca socks, a whole bunch of my soldiers.
Yeah. And actually, we do that, the Wounded Warrior Project, and we have.
I got them.
Is it, Deb, is it called the Sock Brigade? I'm asking my wife. Isn't it? I think, yeah. We actually sold an alpaca at an auction during Afghanistan for $16,000. That was a donation to the Sock Brigade. So
my unit got the socks. One of them, set of them. Everyone got a set. They were brownish. They're really nice. They're just like wool socks. They're a little softer, I think.
Yeah. So thicker. You obviously were living where you do because you want to also, right? That's home because you want to be there.
We took a major hit. I was 9 years active. I had a design build construction company in Central California. All my licenses are in California. I live just over the border in Nevada in the hills. And we've definitely taken a cut in income, but we do like living here a lot.
Yeah, I have a young guy that works with me. He lives right in Truckee, and then have family in the Folsom area, actually right outside of Sacramento.
Truckee is nice. I'm only 20 minutes away from Truckee. I like where I live, though. I like the Nevada side. I can actually walk down to the river and down the city, run down. My daughter goes to Reno High School. It's a pretty good high school where she goes to school, and we have 2 daughters. But cool. I just put a link in. If you ever get a chance, I do a show every 4:00 Pacific. I do interviews on Monday and Wednesday, and then 9:00 a.m. on Tuesday. I do interviews of interesting people. It's called Timelines. I've had a lot of interesting folks on, from congressmen to just about everybody. And it's just real simple. It's 25 minutes. You come up and blab, and you're welcome. What kind of doctor are you?
Chemistry and biology.
Oh, really? So, were your research?
Yeah, and I was a college professor for early on in my career, and then we acquired environmentally contaminated assets for years. So that's why we own the 40 or so assets in Ohio.
Some of my family do phase 1, phase 2 out in California, environmental inspections.
Yeah, I have a company that does that also. So
yeah,
kind of entrepreneurish, and then the name Mike Dillard. And all that. Remember that? Yeah. He was Perry Marshall, and Mike Dillard were kind of the early guys in pay-per-click. And anyway, I met Mike back in 2008, and he got me intrigued with the whole internet marketing thing. So I've been doing some things in the name. So we have a marketing agency that we help people develop their internet presence. So that's why I host these 3. These are all 3 clients of ours.
What is your website?
So Mike Dillard in Austin, Texas?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
What's your website? I've got MikeDillard.com. I've got his.
Yeah. Well, mine I like you, I probably got 20 of them. The primary one would be Colonomics.org.
You're only supposed to have one, you know that, right? 1 or 2.
And then you guys are at least old enough you'd remember the guy who founded that, Dennis Weaver, the actor, Cloud and Gunsmoke before that. Well, Dennis founded that entity back about 23 years ago and asked me if I'd take it over before he died. And I have. It's a nonprofit that we run, and our whole goal is to kind of make the planet better by helping people make a little money.
I
So,
started a show I worked with the State Department. I was civil military operations setting up. That's my specialty. When the war broke out, I was vice mayor of a city. I'm a civil engineer,
cool.
and I was a reservist too. I was a lieutenant colonel. And
Well, I just looked up at the clock. I've got to get on mine and get prepped with.
Yeah.
Hey, if you get a chance, go into that link.
Look at your site. Yeah.
Go into the link and just sign up. I just changed my my system to Calendly to sign up. So
Awesome. I'll do it.
up. Thanks. Well, I'll try to catch your show. Take care.
Hey, Wayne, it was nice meeting you.
You bet. Nice meeting you guys.
Yep.
What I was about to say, Mike, is we had I had a show that I wanted to create with one of the foreign service agents I worked with. And we did the first one, but she just didn't want to create the podcast I don't know. It was a great idea. It was all her idea. It was paleo. It was paleo. Oh, it was paleo and, it's like it's conserve. What was it? It was paleo something, something paleo. It was about how to live as a minimalist and be paleo. Forgot the name of it. It's like
wasn't paleo a way of eating?
Diet. It's eating like natural foods like in the old days. Paleo. What was the name of that? Paleo. It's a great idea. Something paleo. What's it called? Oh, I must be tired. At the end of the day, my brain must be like fried today.
Well, hey, it is Friday. You're not starting to eat too many jelly beans, are you?
No, I don't know what I'm doing, but I went to that. You know what? I did that class for 2.5 hours today.
Which class?
Like I said, I was signing up for a certificate class. I'm not getting a certificate. He paid $400 for the course.
Gotcha.
By the way, Infusionsoft, he must have spent $8,000 or $9,000 getting certified in Infusionsoft. The first Infusionsoft package I bought cost him $4,000, and he had bought it through a partner with courses. And then he pays so much. He probably pays $285 a month.
So what's he going to do? What's he want to do with that?
Well, he's building. Interesting guy. He's an electrical engineer. Went to school in Berkeley. Was an Air Force officer for 4 years as an engineer, and he wants to. First of all, he got into something called doTERRA very early on. The oil things. He's got share the oils, and he stumbled into it and is done really, really well. So he's got an MLM. He lives here in Reno. He made a lot of money in the Silicon Valley, and working and freelancing.
Right.
And then he moved over here to Reno and really didn't have any jobs or work. This is like, I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. And for some reason, he got into an MLM and specifically doTERRA, which is oils early on in the process.
Mm-hmm.
He's applied some of his understanding of computers and networking to that business and done just real well. I mean, he makes a lot of money. He works hard though. He believes it. I believe in his oils. I'm not an MLM guy very much. I'm underneath him, but because I really like the product, but he has really, really done well. So that's what makes most of his money. But what he's doing now is we're both creating online training courses and we're helping each other. And he has a lot more money than I have having kids. He don't have any kids yet. His wife they've never had any kids. So his wife is Filipino and, it's the second marriage, so they had kids from the second marriage, but all the kids are grown. But he's done really, really, really well with that doTERRA. That's share the oils. I know you've messed around a little bit with them. We all have, but I've never made any money on them.
No, I would say at best broke even. So
yeah, but it's a good product. I actually do like the product. I mean, I could see just buying $35 just to buy a bottle here and there because I didn't know anything about oils until I got into this.
There's a few that, and some that we weren't necessarily ever involved in, but that we still, buy the product because that particular product.
Which ones are those that you like?
I like, what was the name of the company? Free Life, and they had a product called MSM. And
I've heard of MSM. What is that?
Yeah. It's basically kind of a be all end all. It really helps. Where I saw the biggest benefit is in my recuperative time after working out and stuff, and as far as soreness. But people have gotten tremendous benefits from it, and there's a certain way that it's made, and they do it that way because I think that it's been a while since I ever explained it to somebody, but I think you have to have a certain for it to be the most effective, you have to have a certain vitamin C that's paired with it.
Yeah.
And anyway, so there's that one, and
Methyl
then
sulfur methyl.
yeah, it's about this long.
Yeah.
And then, then like the beach body, I like the Shakeology, that I take for breakfast every day. So
I like this. I mean, I'm contemplating. It's $35 a year to belong to it, and we use the oil. But the peppermint oil, when you have a cold, you stick it up here. You got to get used to it. When I first got this stuff, I had a cold and I did too much, and I overdosed on oils. I didn't realize you could overdose on oils, but I got too much oil in my system. And
my wife really understands all that stuff, and it's amazing that there are some herbs, there are some natural things that can be that can harm you if you're taking medications, and a lot of the doctors don't understand it, so they just say stop whatever you're taking if you're going to take this.
They're hot oil. They're hot oils. I got all different oils. Hot oil, and all oils have different properties. And my wife understands a lot better than I do, and it's amazing. I had a little cold, but what the peppermint does, if you put it up here, it's a hot oil. But it really, peppermint. Now, I have a rough time with eucalyptus.
Okay.
Like I can't deal with you, even though it clears up your breathways. It just is too hard on my lung. So I've learned a little about oils, and I know a lot about diet. I don't practice it, but I know a little bit about diet, and I don't practice like I should. So anyway, thank you for the show today. It was a good show.
Yeah.
I always I like letting people come up and talk and say hi.
Yep. No, he was an interesting guy. So,
in the old days of Blab, it seems like we used to get a lot more people coming up and talking.
Well, I said, who knows? I mean, I said, I knew we were recording this and we're going to repurpose it. But I mean, being Good Friday, I mean, we're always looking at the best time. I don't even know what else is on Blab right now. But I will say, and maybe it's the new format. It doesn't seem to be that there's that many programs on. So,
or maybe they're hiding. Do you think they're hiding them? Let me look. Let's finish up. I think I don't know. Who knows if Blab's going to make it or not? Because it's costing them a lot of money to put this up.
Sure,
we love it, but something like Blab might evolve. But it's got to be costing them a small fortune. But if you look at it, there's no huge home run hitters right now. There's one with 39, a 3-alarm driver.
Now, see, I got to change it because what shows up on mine is this social. So
I've got social showing up first on mine, and weekly scam is showing up down the bottom.
And then it's got recommended, and then I go to upcoming. Well, now I'm on the upcoming. I'm still seeing Meet the Voter. Meet the Voter comes up number 2.
Is weekly scam showing up?
No. Well, let me just see.
It's showing up on social.
Because, I'm on social. No, see, I'm not seeing it, but and there is no button there to show anything more.
No, but mine says more. I can show more on the bottom.
Well, I can show. Yeah, see, I don't see it. I can show more on the upcoming, but I can't show more on anything that is live right now.
So I'm got the social. I see live. I see us.
See, like I'm on. I see the Legacy Hours and Ricky and Kiki, a guy on
Race Wars.
On a Buffalo, crop music. So those are like the top 4: 2 goats and a pirate. So
it's weird that people come up onto our show and look at like weekly scam, that they come up and look. Like, what do you guys?
Well, I saw Tim came in and he didn't stay, but I saw Tim jumped in.
Which Tim?
Tim Wilson. Okay. Tim. He does a podcast and kind of a cowboy guy. He's on a lot.
Now on the upcoming,
I'm sorry, that's Tim Gillette.
On the upcoming, I see WordPress show followed by website reviews, and I see.
Yeah, see, I'm not
Meet the Voter.
I see the 2016 March Madness, Tech Talk. So those are all that I'm seeing right now that are showing live under the social category.
I think next week I'll put hashtags. The best thing I do is I do a whole week's worth of programming ahead of time and put it up on that.
Well, there was some talk. I've seen a couple, and I didn't really listen to it, but they were talking something about the hashtags and how you can use them or whatever. And
put them in your title, because then they'll go out to the different places on Twitter.
But I know next Thursday I'm going to be on the Blab Nation show, which comes on at 10.
That's the big one. How'd you get on that show?
I've just been on it. I kind of befriended Jonathan, and we're going to be talking about risk. We're going to be talking about insurance.
What's his story? What's behind him? He's trying to make money.
I don't know. He's just been doing the show, and he gets usually 25 to 30 live, up to 50. Gets 200 people coming through it. He's usually on for a couple hours. He'll tape it for an hour, and he's usually on for maybe another hour chatting.
I'm building courses, right now, and I've got almost everything in place. I'm going to put a little tiny one out, a $7 course. And I actually have the site School of Blab, but I decided not to use it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because it has the word Blab in it. And it's
right.
I don't own Blab.
Right.
I don't know if I take.
Well, I think it'll pigeonhole you. I think, yeah.
Well, what I'm doing is I've got it's not set up yet. It'll be set up tonight. I've got netcast school, and netcasting school. So I'll point those at the same place. I think I'll make it under netcast school, or even try to get a smaller domain and just point them in that direction.
Yeah.
Call it.
I think that makes sense.
Netcast school. And then the first part of then you work through it for certificate. This is what I was doing today. Finish up with this just for your thoughts. So my first course is going to be simply for people to get up on Blab, make some recordings and put them up on YouTube, and then watch them and look at them and try to get them as high quality as you can and see, do they want to go to the next level where you do a podcast or even use a call recorder in Skype.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be that first course is $7, but the second one will be much more expensive, like $97, because there's a lot to set up a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Right. From the marketing, everything you have to do to set up. A lot of people don't do it right. We just blew a launch, by the way, big time. We have a number 2 show in WordPress on the category for podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy I do that with, Jonathan, he begged me to we did all these shows just like on YouTube. And we launched after about 30 shows, and I put up 4 shows, really good shows. And he didn't link them to any of his sites. It only came from my side. So if you get 200 right off the top of a show, there's a really good chance if you get 200 downloads for a couple of days in a row and you've got 3 or 4 shows up, really good chance you're going to make new noteworthy. You get about 21 reviews. But you didn't try any big, and he wants to do it it's for his business. He markets it source to real estate.
Sure.
Sometimes these coder guys, these guys are heavy duty web page developers, designers.
Well, they're not marketers.
They're definitely not marketers.
They don't understand it. I mean, it's the same thing when, these guys, they put out a book and want to get a New York bestseller list. They tell everybody to do it. We'll give it away free. They want to get that hit that first day. Yeah. And now they're set.
Yeah, so you got to get it up. Your launch is so important in anything in the podcast. Now, there's another way to do it. The way we did in WP Tonic. We did it by doing good quality content and targeted at just people and WordPress programmers and people wanting to learn WordPress. And we built the number 2 show doing that. And now we've changed a little bit. I think we need to get back more into the tech side. So,
all right. Well, I'm going to scoot because I got something here at 8. I got to get started working on.
Well, have a nice Easter weekend. We can do
you guys Easter too. I'll talk to you soon.
I'm going to Mass with my family.
Yeah, we got to do that a little bit later ourselves here.
Yeah,
catch the late one here.
Yeah. All right. Take care, Mike.
All right. Take care.
Before you go, let's make sure we share Blab. Great, nice show. Show with Mike.
Well, I'm only seeing share the last 30 seconds. Are you sure?
I'm going to share the last 30 seconds.
Okay.
Now, what? Here's a question. That's interesting. I just hit that. What did that do? Continue as Bill? Okay. I don't know what that was about. I hit something and I hit Facebook and the Facebook showed up, but there's nothing highlighted Facebook.
And I've been looking too. I did not get that option to share on Facebook or Twitter our whole time here.
I just clicked it though. I just clicked it and they popped up.
No. Well, I'm saying all I get is the share the last 30 seconds. I didn't the Facebook or Twitter share.
By the way, you've got a little little smoke or fog field to me. It's not real sharp.
Really?
It looks okay. It's not bad.
Well, I said that's kind of where you were the other day because I'm looking at my screen and I look clear. So
yeah, you don't look sharp. It's really weird. Now when you did that, you brought yourself in.
Mm-hmm.
You did this. Here we go. All right.
There we go.
Let's say goodbye.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
I'll shut you off.
Bye-bye.
There's bye to Mike. Thank you, everybody. Let's go watch the alpaca and other folks.